The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
What is going on, everybody? It is one of my favorite nights of the week. I love Friday night. It is a good time, and I'm here for it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, a lot of crazy things in the world. Lape is on his way. He just texted. But with me, as always, is my left-hand man, the author, David Applegate.
G'day, friends, fans, air conditioners, and other cool units. Welcome to another War Room.
Yeehaw. Hey, there's been all kinds of new stuff happening, but I ain't been able to listen to none of it. Now, I do hear something about Gina Carano. I've heard stuff about Trump might be getting another Nobel Peace Prize.
He's got two separate nominations, yes.
RFK Jr.'s going after something in the jab.
Yes, sirree.
I mean, it's all over the place. There's so much to talk about, so much to do. Everybody's kind of rolling late, so we'll see how that goes. We're going to have some chit-chat.
Yeah.
What's up?
I was going to say, try and hold those questions, because I'm sure Late will want to definitely rock into. I know some of the stuff that's going on. You want to talk about what's happening with the women's basketball?
Because that's pretty funny.
Because both of them are pretty funny. Both of them are karma stories. So let's start with the big karma story, the WNBA.
Yeah.
For a long time, okay, and this goes back to the 70s with the equity in sport. And it started on college campuses where women's sports had to get equal funding. And that spread to the WNBA, particularly when, at a time when basketball was primarily a college sport. And the college teams had to give up some of their proceeds in order to fund women's sports, because the colleges at the time couldn't come up with enough money, which is, I think, partly the reason why so many people pay high tuition is to actually fund college sports. Even though they are for profit, guess what? Most of them don't turn a profit.
That's probably honestly true.
See, the NBA and a couple of other sports are definitely way massively profitable. Okay, there's no doubt. But most other sports are not. Okay? Most of them lose. WNBA loses $40 million a year.
Well, it's just nobody's interested in watching it. That's the problem. Hey, there's 7 people watching over on X. There's 7 people watching over on, or 2 people watching over on Dave's X. 1 person's watching over on YouTube, and 1 person's watching over on Dave's Twitch channel. Hey, what is up? Hey. Hope you're doing well. And please comment. Tell us your thoughts about the schlong of events with the WNBA.
a lot of people are connecting the fact that WNBA and a lot of other women's sports are failing because Trump has cut off USAID. Now, I know that money was not directly going from the government to the WNBA.
Yeah.
But what it was is the government, particularly Biden, was funding women's sports through USAID, but they were funding the non-profits and the college sports. But what these colleges do is they take what they call a portion, aka half of what they receive, and put it into hedge funds. Hedge funds take that money and they hedge their bets across various sports, knowing they can't put it all in the NBA because there's no room, right? You can't just endlessly pour buckets of money into one sport and produce endless profits. They have to spread it around. So what they do is they hedge their bets, hedge funds, and they actually bet on these sports losing. These ridiculous. I forget what it's called. Speculative markets, right?
Yeah,
where you can go to. You can bet on anything. King Charles dying tomorrow. Boom, here's $100. Oh, it didn't happen.
Like the Deadpool?
Yeah. There's lots of these, right? Barclays, all these speculative markets out there. They spread their money far and wide.
Yeah.
And it's literally true. There are companies right now whose entire income is betting on what the value of the US dollar is. And that dates back to the 1930s, okay? This ain't nothing new. But the WNBA is a money laundering operation, and people know it. It's just not what you would call your traditional crime of money laundering, because they were taking USAID, putting in the hedge funds. The hedge funds would spread their bets. Literally, they do. They gamble, okay? About a quarter, I think, Market Report or one of these YouTubers had it, before they got shut down over it. The FCC was looking into it. How much hedge fund money goes actually gambling? What they call speculative investments. Okay.
Okay.
One such guy, speculative investments. I think it was a big Nevada company, and they turned around and actually admitted, "Yeah, we gamble. We make it 56%. We make 56%. Sorry, they make a profit, right? 56% of their bets succeed. So, yeah, and if you're betting on the NBA and have a good year or any of the prime sports, but there's a betting limit. These companies actually talk, the speculators, they actually are legitimately admitting they gamble. Because they can't buy enough stocks, they can't buy enough bonds, they can't buy enough real estate. They have more money to invest than they can actually invest.
What's up, Channel Dad? How you doing, buddy?
Hey.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So the WNBA merely exists to pour money into and get money out, even though they're going to lose some of it. What they do is they just say, "Oh, look, we got these ridiculous profits over here. We can cut our tax rate. Spread out their losses to cut their tax rate." Because they literally have more money than they have investment opportunities.
What are we talking about?
WNBA.
The WNBA getting paid what they're worth in dildos.
It is pretty funny.
I guess the attendance has been up recently. They actually, how close are they to actually being profitable?
40 million. There's 40 million. So take $10 a ticket, you figure it out. Because they ain't charging $100 a ticket, I'm telling you.
Right. Well, and I don't know how that compares to previously before what's her name was playing.
Caitlin? When she plays, their attendance is up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. That's what I've been seeing.
That's why you mentioned.
I mean, Bill Burr was making jokes about this years ago because no one's going to the game.
No.
Somebody actually said, Reese's fuming because they actually, when she skipped a game, nobody noticed. Actually, the real reason why she's fuming, last night, the Thursday night, the night before the game, they showed up in Chicago at a famous nightclub, and nobody recognized her. I suppose it's because her eyes weren't cross-eyed, right?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing about fame, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't recognize you yet. Sorry, I didn't recognize you had your clothes on.
Right. Well, you when you're first think you're famous and you're not recognized, you get annoyed by it, and then when you're recognized everywhere you go and you can't even go shopping, then you get annoyed by it.
Hey, shut up, Jar Jar Gabor. You got what you asked for.
Now one of my dogs came in here and is whining at me. What do you want? I'm trying to get my camera plugged in.
All right. We're actually waiting for you for the serious topics.
So I can shave my balls on camera. That's what we're doing today, right?
Ew.
Yeah. Dude. We aren't sponsored by Manscaped yet. We got to build up to that.
Yeah.
I
don't have one of those, so.
All right. So
we were.
got a whole bunch
there's all kinds of stuff to discuss tonight. There's Gina Carano stuff. There's
list it off.
Yeah, there's all kinds of.
Carano. I'm irritated by that. What the heck just happened?
It's a deceptive win. It's not a win. It's a deceptive win.
What the heck happened?
There you go.
You glitched.
No, the light went off.
StreamYard. Okay, StreamYard isn't as fast as it used to be, folks. They said they increased speed by 25%, yet we glitch when we...
Also, apparently Texas House has revoked the derelict Democrat lawmakers' access to direct deposit. They can't get paid until they get back to Texas, and they're charging them $500 a day that they're gone.
And they're investigating bribery and corruption charges because Beto O'Rourke is paying their fines.
Oh, thought he would have had financial issues.
The FBI is now assisting Texas in locating absconded members.
Absconded,
They're working with the Sergeant at Arms and other states to arrest them.
They're trying to undo the gerrymandering that's keeping them in power.
Okay. Texas found out that the distribution of congressional seats were actually based on data that included illegal aliens. And according to a Supreme Court ruling, the 3/5 rule does not include illegal aliens. It's only transitory workers that are covered by the 3/5 rule, right?
I think so.
So illegal aliens, because they have no work rights, cannot be included in the census.
Yeah, I thought the 3/5 was just slaves. I didn't think it counted
migrant. No. The 3/5 rule was originally slaves, but what happened is there's a whole bunch of Supreme Court challenges. What to do with the 3/5 rule. The 3/5 rule actually wasn't slaves. It dates back further than that, all the way to the founding. It's part of the original Constitution.
Well,
the 3/5 rule was to cover ship's crew in port. Okay, when a ship's crew is in port and you're on an American flag ship and an American citizen, well, you still count, right? Because you're not actually in a congressional district, but you're in port. You get to vote, right? In that district. It was poorly one of the more poorly worded parts of the Constitution. I'm sorry.
Well, I know it was a compromise. So this thing isn't.
Basically, they said 3/5 of all other persons. Basically, when you divide the population up, they found they had people like sailors and stuff like that who didn't fit in because they didn't live in a congressional district. They lived on a ship. They were only in port sometimes. They missed census. They missed votes, which is why they couldn't make voting mandatory at the time because a lot of Americans were at sea, and it was enough to affect the Boston election, apparently, because Boston being a big shipping hub at the time.
Yeah.
So they they came up with the 3/5 rule, which was absolutely ridiculous.
Mm.
Well, I know
But
it was
it was a
also a
compromise.
compromise with the southern
Yeah.
states too. I mean, the whole.
That
the whole
was a
thing
compromise with Virginia. There were no southern states at the time it was written.
Yeah.
Yeah. Virginia wasn't
dang.
called a southern state then. It was called a Commonwealth.
Yeah.
4 hours ago, massive breaking bombshell. Project Veritas releases proof that Fani Willis was working under the direction of Trump's former AG Bill Barr to
Yep.
indict Donald Trump, Alex Jones, Roger Stone, General Flynn, Nick Fuentes, and others in
Yep.
2022 and 2023.
Bill Barr was, and last week they ousted Bill Barr as a Democrat agent who'd been working all along with the Democrats, by the way. Bill Barr has been running an illegal a legal service for illegals, but he was doing so illegally. He wasn't offering legal advice through a legal company. He was actually has a what you call a phone bank legal service where people call up a legal hotline and get government funded legal service that's meant for other agencies like veterans, etc. And they would falsely report, oh, yeah, we gave legal advice to veterans, etc. You know, basically illegal diversion of funding.
That's crazy.
Bill Barr is up to here with crooked deals and scummy. It's like when everybody found out that Nixon's chief of staff and private secretary were both working for the Democrat Party. And all of a sudden, it's move on. Nixon's a nice guy. Move on.
Oh, it was a Navy intelligence operation. Oh crap!
Yes. Oh yeah. It was Navy intelligence. Move on. What do you mean? Woodward was an intelligence officer, not a journalist.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
What do you mean Deep Throat was the FBI guy who was in charge of the tapes? What do you mean you gave the tapes to Hillary Clinton? What was she doing with the tapes? Why is there 10 minutes missing from the tapes, Hillary? We're shutting down this investigation. The impeachment's over. Isn't that how it went, like?
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Leif, how far is Millersville City?
Is that in Tennessee?
Yeah. There's a Tennessee flag behind him.
I don't know. I will have to look.
Hey, did you know Sydney Sweeney has a brother named Trent? And he's an Air Force sergeant.
65. That's all the way to Nashville.
Okay. Apparently, the attorney immediately walks out after a commission suggests reducing his pay from $200 an hour to $15. He just literally gets up and walks out.
On an attorney? Are they crazy? Yeah, that's just north of Nashville.
Well, that's your problem. Look, China look, you look at the difference around the world. America trains more lawyers than any other nation in the planet. And you wonder why you haven't got enough engineers, okay? Because
Yeah.
Now, here's a funny story.
Does it
Sydney
involve a man
Sweeney
named Brady?
has a brother, Trent. No,
Tom Brady.
Sydney Sweeney has a brother, Trent, who is an Air Force sergeant. And he this week he was proudly showing off his promotion with the caption, "It's them good genes." Showing off his he's got his star on his he's got his third braid, you know, he's now a staff
Is it
sergeant. Yeah,
Has
he's
he got a
Air Force
star
staff
on?
sergeant.
Okay.
Yep. He's got his star and he's got his third braid and star. Yep. And he's got a certificate because yeah.
I'm listening, man. I'm just following
In
the
other
Cumberland
news-
River back.
Before we get into the stories that the boss man over in the Appalachians, Appalachians.
That's the correct way to say it.
Throwing Appalachia.
Yeah,
Just
but
remember that.
Appalachians, yeah. All right. Trump has approved military action against Latin American cartels. He has classified them as terrorist organizations. U.S. forces have now opened engagement against cartels where and wherever they are discovered. He has
That's crazy, man.
He said he's determined not just to dismantle, but to destroy the Venezuelan dictator Maduro's cartel, Los Sols, and obliterate their operations. The first target is the Maduro cartel.
Well, good luck with that.
This is a Mexican cartel. This is a Venezuelan cartel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to do that till we blew up their kids having a birthday party, and people got a little bit upset about that.
Wasn't that actually wasn't that somebody deliberately provided false intelligence in order to? One of the other cartels provided the intelligence in order to discredit the war on cartels in Colombia.
I don't know. It's been too long.
It was a twofer. Basically, one cartel gets the U.S. government to take out their enemy and to discredit the U.S. government by doing so in a horrific way.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
And the mistake was, I know it cost a few people their job because they failed to verify the intelligence and the target. They they didn't even verify the informant until they realized that they didn't even know the informant was one of the other cartels. That's how bad it was. Yeah, it was when the CIA cocks up. It's spectacular, right?
Yeah, when they screw up, they really screw up. Yeah. Yeah, that was what, late 80s, early 90s? I forget exactly when that was.
Speaking of screw ups, yeah, late 80s. Yeah, it was coming into the 90s, I think. It'd been going on for some time, you know. That's still going on, by the way. There's still a war in Colombia. It's just very, very low key and very sporadic.
Hey, speaking of
confined to the upper corner of the Colombian.
Speaking of South America, what's the deal with Nicolas Morano? Whatever.
He's a cartel
the president,
leader, allegedly. Yeah.
Oh, he is.
Trump is saying he's heading a drug cartel.
Oh, well, they issued a $500 million bounty, dead or alive?
$50 million.
$50 million?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dead or alive?
Yeah, cartel. He's been basically, Trump is saying he's a cartel leader.
Labe, you got your passport ready? Let's go get some guns. Go after the dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure someone will take him out and say, or find someone who looks enough like him, say, "Hey, look, Trump, you owe us."
Hey, look. If I was a wannabe,
yeah.
If I was a wannabe Venezuelan general, I would take him out too, except for one problem. And this is why he hasn't been taken out, folks. China and Russia special services are protecting and have been protecting the leaders of Venezuela for the last 10 years. Yeah. Venezuela doesn't protect Venezuelans, okay? China has, 1 million security agents just in South America alone to protect Chinese interests.
Yep. Well, that's why they were trying to take over the Panama Canal. We had to step in on that one.
That deal might be falling apart because China's decided to go to the mattresses on this trade war. India has told Trump to F off over the fact that has been revealed that India has been funding the Russian war in Ukraine for the last 2 years.
Oh.
Yeah. Wasn't just China, folks. India's your best friend, our new ally in the East. Yeah.
Yeah, with friends like these, who needs enemies?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Pakistan's a bestest ally, says George Bush. And then it turns out that they've been spying on Congress, all the for the last.
Z-Stan, he said, do you guys like what comedian Chad Zumock is coming out with lately?
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is, but I'll look into it.
Yeah, he'll do a search up. What was the other topic you brought up earlier? Now I'm going to have to...
Yeah.
You got to write these things down.
Put them in the email.
Yeah.
Well, it's stuff that I found today. Like, I didn't see it. Like, I sent the email this morning.
You guys did you talk about Gina?
Carano.
Yeah,
we're
didn't talk
waiting
much.
for you, man. No, we're waiting for you.
Yeah.
Gina Carano, it's a poison pill victory, right?
Yep.
Everybody knows Disney's in the wrong, right?
Yep.
Disney has a no-fault judgment against them. They're not offering Gino. Well, they're offering some compensation and some roles guaranteed going forward. She may be in the Mandalorian movie. Maybe. We don't know the exact judgment, but somebody has pointed out by Disney getting a no-fault judgment means they cannot be prosecuted for racism.
Yeah.
Or illegal firing, which is actually a felony in California, apparently. If you illegally fire somebody for political prejudice. It's known as the Community Protection Rule. It was a law introduced in California. I think the guy who followed Reagan put it in place to protect. And they called it an anti-McCarthy rule, but, it was to protect commies in California so they couldn't be ousted out
Jerry
of Hollywood.
Brown? You mean as governor?
Yeah.
Hey, Z-Stan, the mega Chad Zumick fan. Hey, I clicked follow on this dude's page, so I don't know him, but I'll check him out. He seems pretty funny.
Yeah. Edmund G. Jerry Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he came back as governor. Yeah, I thought so in 2011. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 75 to 83. Yeah, and he was also the one that got a lot of those things built, various reservoirs and stuff. Yeah, built. Put that in air quotes, paying off his buddies.
Yeah,
he is a reason why a lot of stuff, infrastructure stuff, is not right because they spend all that money. It's kind of what Gavin Newsom's doing, right? He's building his train to nowhere, spending billions.
Newsom,
$10 billion per mile.
Hey, California, what's the difference between California and China? China can finish a railway.
Yeah, it'll fall apart, but they can finish it.
Yeah, they can finish it. It'll fall apart. So there isn't much difference, right? At least they can finish it. Yeah.
Hey, so apparently Elon Musk said Grunk Imagine is free right now. And somebody's making posts. The Grok Imagine congressional thirst posting will continue until morale improves, and it's all just pictures of Lauren Boebert.
All right, woo! All right. Speaking of Congress, anybody upset with the gerrymandering in Texas? Man, I'm not. I'm hearing so many people saying this is what we voted for, like, hey, Jasmine Crockett, Jasmine Crockett crying about being kicked out of Congress because of gerrymandering in Texas. And Texas is saying, and? It's what we voted for.
Well, and apparently a lot of that stuff, especially with the illegals, it's estimated between 20 to 30 House seats in Congress that they have.
The official
they wouldn't
estimate is 20 seats on the Democrat side are purely nothing but a meandering goat track full of poor residents. They basically linked up all the areas they dumped illegals into, basically.
Yep.
Into phony congressional seats, which some of them are so packed to the gills. Like they took a little blue spot right on Illinois, and they basically stacked all these towns, which were near empty, with illegals, and then linked them up to turn them into 2 congressional seats. So they have like 100,000 legal voters.
I'll be right back. I gotta find out what's going on. You guys keep going.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you end up with so you take 100,000 legal voters, split them in half, and then add, enough illegals, which is around 900,000 in each, town or spread across, which is why you suddenly get. And you look across California, and they'll tell you there's all these small towns in California full of people, and none of them vote, none of them speak English, none of them work. They're all been collecting welfare for 10 years. But it all dates back to the California amnesty, dumping all these illegals in the towns and saying, oh, yeah, but they farm work. Well, according to the Department of Agriculture, is it?
I honestly don't know.
Okay. According to the Department of Agriculture, only 2% of farm workers are on a work visa. So if they're illegally in America and they're working, that's illegal. And Trump has signed, 5 executive orders, bro? Going after cartels. He's going to go after gerrymandering. I don't know what he's doing there, but it started with the census. Okay, so first is the census, then we're going to find out what happens after that. He's going after the no, forget. Trump's doing all these things so quickly. Chicago and New York apparently is going to do something about the crime in DC first. Okay, he's going after the crime in DC. It's going to create a federal task force, basically sending the feds back by the the National Guard.
Yeah. We back to Gina Carano yet?
Yeah, we're waiting.
I don't know.
That's the third time. That's the third time you said you're waiting for me.
Yeah,
well, you keep going away.
Gina. Yeah,
because you went on the gerrymandering. Well,
Yeah.
my biggest thing is we're not going to get Disney's laundry drawn out into court like we should.
Yeah, it's not going to be public. Yeah,
right. That's the biggest. My biggest gripe is all of their crimes are not going to be for the world to see.
And California gets to forgive them for all their crimes up until the Gina Carano case.
So, yeah, I don't know how Disney's even a company anymore. I mean, the number of times that they've had employees arrested, especially in Florida, for various things going on at the parks, there should have been enough class action lawsuits to drain them completely of cash.
The problem is, and I don't know if I speak for everybody, but I'll speak for the few people who've spoken out about Disney lawsuits, and they're also the same thing. No lawyer in California or Florida wants to touch the case.
Yeah.
Gina had to get outside counsel to get this case to court, and she had to have Elon Musk pretty much and Trump lean on the judge to accept the case, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
is it kind of like having information about Hillary Clinton?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, well, Hillary's wearing bad jeans, if you've seen the meme.
I have not. I don't think I want to.
No, you don't. But if I had to, you have to. You'll eventually burn that into your eyes and go, oh, that's something I wish I could take back.
Yeah. But that's my biggest gripe is that, okay, maybe she gets part of her job back. Maybe she got some money.
Yeah,
but
that's it.
But really did the evils of Disney really need to come out.
Yeah, it's a poison pill victory, right? Basically, California gets to forgive Disney and sweep everything under the rug and put it in the big fat file and seal it, just like they did with Epstein, just like, and the states didn't get to sit back and watch the feds take the heat for all this because because of the nature of the Constitution, the federal government can't order the courts. They can send an order, but the courts can say F you, and there's nothing they can legally do about it.
Oh. Uh-oh.
It's like the corruption.
Is that
in
for
Minnesota.
real?
No, that's Jasmine Crockett.
Oh, Jasmine Crockett?
Anytime we talk about what is she, a senator?
It's Congress.
Oh, she's Congress.
Well,
Congresswoman Crockett. You're welcome. That's pretty funny, ain't it?
Oh.
Change your batteries.
Yeah, that just reminds me of LMP, to be honest with you.
What? He didn't have the thing going on in his back.
Yes,
He had a
did.
bird stealing going on.
Oh my gosh, dude. He had it going on forever.
Wow,
More than once did LMP have a ceiling bird.
Swing.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that one's labeled Tim Walls.
Well, breaking news. Breaking news. A couple of Texas Democrats who fled the Lone Star State for some Democrat strongholds are returning to have booked return flights to Texas.
Now, the governor of Illinois said he's not going to let anybody take him.
Yeah. Now, dozens have basically said they'll return in order to. Now, a couple are holding out because they want to prevent a quorum, which is basically when you have a majority of the state members on the. Now, isn't it divided? It's not divided. Basically, let's say the Democrats win a certain amount of certain amount of seats, right? In order to have a quorum, you have to have the majority of the minority as well as the majority of the majority party, right? Present, right? It's divided into two in the lower house. So you have you have to have, like, it doesn't matter if the minority are going to lose the vote; they still have to be present for a vote.
Yeah.
Which is a ridiculous rule.
But can you imagine, though, if this was Republican senators like under Biden doing
they
this?
Would be
absolutely.
They would have been dismissed. I mean, they would have been.
Yeah, they would have just said, "We don't care what the law says. We're going to take the vote anyway."
And then you have, the Department of Safety is going to take the delinquents into custody as soon as they arrive and escort them to the State House for the vote because they believe they will have a quorum tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just.
But what they're holding up is not here's the thing: they are not holding up the vote on redistricting. They walked out on the vote for funding to the flood areas. Okay.
Really?
Redistricting was tomorrow, okay? The redistricting was the last on the agenda. They walked out on the vote to fund the flood areas. Okay? Abbott should have been hammering that from day one, putting the agenda on the line and saying, here's the agenda, here's where they walked out.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I've seen the Democrats do this kind of behavior over and over and over again, or when.
Yeah, it's not
even under
Texas.
Well, and we had this even with Bush and sometimes with Clinton, where the Republicans would win a majority, might be 2 votes. And the Democrats would insist that every committee has to look like that. So you have to have all these Democrats, and because you only have a 2-vote, whatever it was. But when they have a 2-vote majority, there's not a Republican on a committee. So they always play these games, and well, I understand it's just the 2-party parade, right? It's all a farce. But and this is why you've got what's his name, the senator that's blocking Trump's appointments and they won't recess Congress so that he can make recess appointments. And he's a Republican, he's a real GOP-er. He's not a Republican. There's a difference. It's time the Republicans kick the GOP side of them out of the party. This is the Bush big tent nonsense. Take the grand old party people and push them off. They're Democrats. They're not Republican.
Actually,
They're old
Let's
school
give
Democrats.
Let's give the Lincoln Project credit where credit is due. When they say they are the GOP, they're not lying, and it does date back to Lincoln when Lincoln invited Democrats into the party. And even look what happened. You make a Democrat your vice president, bang, you get your head shot off.
Yep. All right. Although Johnson didn't, he wanted reconciliation as well, and he gets impeached because he won't basically tear the South a new one.
No, he actually had a double whammy. He gets not just impeached, he had a heart attack, which basically meant he was sidelined and unable to defend himself.
Yeah.
And wasn't able to run again. And then died 6 months after the election. And just after he had a meeting with Nixon where he told Nixon everything that was going on.
No, not that Johnson. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Lincoln's Johnson.
Oh,
I don't mean his Johnson.
Sorry, man.
It's the vice president. We were talking about Lincoln, and because the second time around he had a Democrat Northern Democrat vice president.
Yeah, everybody blames Nixon for the. Everybody blames Lincoln for the failure of reparations. Hello, he was dead. It was a Democrat.
Well, he wanted reconciliation with the South, and Northern people didn't, especially Northern Democrats.
The Northern Democrats had wanted revenge, particularly Boston, on the Southern Democrats, because the Northern Democrats lost their power.
Yeah, they didn't. Right, they didn't want to fight either.
No, but they lost their power because the Southern Democrats I think it was the second election before, not the first election, but the second election, they had basically taken over what you'd call now the South, right? The Southern Democrats had taken 2 more states and became the majority within the Democrat coalition, as it was called, the coalition of states or whatever it was before the Confederacy. The coalition of Democratic states basically was the majority in the South, and the Northern Democrats were like confined to a few, benches, basically. They had no power anymore in the Democrat Party. So they actually pushed Lincoln into office, which is what really pissed off the Southern Democrats. But again, this is petty. Politics is petty. It's nothing but high school drama where I'm your friend until, I'm your bestest friend until I finish copying your homework, and then I fail the exam, and so I'll go to somebody else and be their best friend because I can copy their homework. That's the kind of people you're dealing with when it comes to politics, which is why they don't like Trump, because he doesn't copy other people's homework. He doesn't listen to the opposition. He doesn't kowtow like Bush did. So remember, Bush, and you go back to Lincoln. Lincoln was trying to maintain the Union, and you can argue all you want about states' rights, but separation is never a right in the Constitution. States did not have the right to cross their arms and walk away. Allegedly. Same with slavery. Slavery was a federal issue always. It was not. It was part of immigration, right?
Yeah, well, and the Constitution was really set up to slowly get rid of it, right? They wanted to get rid of it pretty early, but if they tried that, Southern states wouldn't join. They would be split, and there was a bigger fear that England would reinvade and take them all back. So that's where the 3/5 compromise came from.
But then a short time later, England became an turned against slavery.
Because the vast majority of the English slaves were in the southern states, and they lost those colonies.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any reason.
No. Yeah. But a lot of people say the reason why Quincy was able to convince England to give up slavery was that the people who were pro-slavery no longer had an income, right? They no longer had their slaves, and they could no longer bribe the crown. And a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of English law, particularly up until the 19th century, had to be approved by the crown. And the crown was so corrupt which is how they grew their wealth, by the way, not through slavery, but taking money from slavery to keep it running. Be very specific.
The secondary profits, as it were, right? Not their direct profits, but the secondary use of those profits.
Yes. The crown was knowing. Look, this all goes back to James. Okay, bribing the crown was legal. You can't say the crown broke the law because there was no law against it.
Yeah. Well, how did the Windsors end up? That's late. Was that mid 19th century when
that was the sudden death of George?
Okay.
Which now turned out to be murder, by the way.
That was, and he ended was that the line from Henry VII?
No, basically,
was that the Tudors?
Henry's. Yeah, it was the end of the Henrys. Yeah.
Okay. Because Henry VII was a bit of a usurper.
Because remember, the Windsors married into the royal family, but they were nobility, and then they married to legitimize their nobility. They married the daughter of, who's the granddaughter of, because Elizabeth is still the granddaughter of Queen Victoria, right? Because they married. The Windsors married into the Windsors married into Victoria's line, and then basically, Albert's son dies, and the Windsors are in power, and it's Elizabeth's crowned, and bang, to legitimize her, they marry her off to Philip, who's basically
well, that was in the 60s.
Nobody liked, nobody wanted him in Europe, right? They wanted him out.
Yeah, she was queen in the 60s, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I thought it was further back than that. I didn't realize it was that
from
recent.
Victoria, from Victoria down, though. But basically, with her brother, with Victoria's grandson gone, fell to the only one in direct line was Elizabeth.
Ron DeSantis says he's ready to redistrict Florida as soon as the census is done and the illegal aliens have been removed. And then somebody made a comment and said every blue state is cooked.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to be immediately red. It means that the blue states are going to lose Congress. And then once they start to lose Congress, they can no longer then, right, Congress can actually start to act, because I fear the majority of the GDP are merely there passively because they fear the next round of redistricting, right?
I don't know.
I just think that there's some, I honestly think that the biggest problem in America is the two-party system, because basically you have the Democrats and the not Democrats. And because there are just so many people who want power, they run as a Democrat, fail, like Bush did, and then become a Republican, right? And they remain Democrats when they get in office anyway,
Well, some of them. So, because Reagan was a Democrat.
He was. I'm not saying Reagan stayed a Democrat, but what I think is that he made too many compromises in California to become governor, and then made too many compromises to become president, and then made too many compromises as president, but forgot that the buck stops with him, right?
Yeah. Well, there was quite a bit of we'll say, and some boomers after the war too. But there was this notion. It's a myth, but there was this notion that started with the early, mostly car manufacturers and steel works, that the Democrats were for the kind of the working middle class, and so a lot of people grew up that way, and they were Democrats by default. Yeah. And the ones who wised up, they're like, wait a minute, they're just slowly killing our jobs and sending it in. And again, it's a two-party scam, right?
Yeah.
The Democrats will do something, the Republicans will oppose it, and the Republicans will do something because this is the GOP side of the Republican Party. And so essentially this concept that the middle class was, they were being controlled by the less radical liberals / communists of the Democrat Party and the GOP side of the Republican Party. And now, you know, and it's essentially now the mask is fully off, especially on the Democrat side. I mean, they've been, as we've discussed before, they've been pro-communist since before Wilson, right? They were funding communist revolutions all over the place.
Yes.
And, you know, Rockefeller and others, some people think, oh, they're Republican. They just, whatever label is necessary. You know, they were controlling both sides.
There is a couple of Rockefellers with a D beside their name, and people forget about that. But the Rockefellers put Roosevelt into office.
Yeah.
With money stolen from you, the public, through the gold confiscation. Okay. Roosevelt would have never had a third term without the gold confiscation because the Republicans had no money to run on. They had their money stolen literally from out under them.
Yeah. And so that it's, and I'm sure his cousin Theodore had, you know, that was the progressive Republicans. They had connections with that. And this is why they opposed people like Coolidge and,
Theodore was,
who was the guy that was the Teapot Dome scandal? He's buried in the same. I used to live in that town that he was buried in. Those were conservatives. Those were closer to more republicanism, right? They were about smaller government and giving states more autonomy, which was the whole point of Republican democracy. And under Jefferson,
Barry Goldwater.
No. Long before him. Yeah. Okay. So
I can't remember then.
We're talking, you know, early 20th century when you've got Theodore Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson, Calvin Coolidge, and others.
The last big Republican was Hoover, and they falsely pinned the economic collapse on him with saying it was these tariffs. Yet the reason why he implemented tariffs was because the Treasury literally had $0. Okay.
Right. And they had to appeal to not Rockefeller, but what's his name, to loan him money.
You're talking about the loan from
what was his name?
I know. Is it Vanderbilt? No, the guy who built the Titanic and went down with it. The was richest man in the world at the time.
Well, there was a guy in New York that they were.
I know the one. He died on the Titanic.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, because he has a company is still around.
Yeah. No, but the patriarch of the family died. Yeah.
But the company, the financial company is still around.
The financial company was still around. They were making huge loans. They were trying to rebuild their fortune.
Yeah.
And Roosevelt saw an opportunity, and he took it. And pretty much that's because, Roosevelt was in a bizarre position. He was Secretary of the Navy, which rarely gets promoted to anywhere politically. It's usually a dead-end job. But remember, Secretary of the Navy runs naval intelligence, and back then, naval intelligence was large, right? It was the premier intelligence agency for the U.S., and it had been started by Washington.
J.P. Morgan.
Thank you. J.P. Morgan was
Panic of 1907.
Was in a leverage war with the Federal Reserve and the banks,
right?
And
but that was how they
eventually he did betray the GOP, though,
right?
But
that was one of the ways that they were able to convince people to be for the Federal Reserve Act. What, 7-8 years later?
Yeah. See, J.P. Morgan didn't want an outside entity controlling interest rates because his profit margins would basically, and he was right. The Fed, if they screwed with the interest rates too long, the banks would become unprofitable.
Yeah.
The banks want the flow of money restricted so that the cost of money is high, so the banks make high profits.
Yeah. How many times I tell Google I'm not interested in AI mode?
Yes. Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. But see, this is what the GOP has often failed. When somebody walked through the door like Elon Musk or J.P. Morgan or Calvin Coolidge or any of the others, or when Truman walked into McCarthy's office and said, "Let's be friends. You are being set up."
Yeah.
How many times do you have to learn this lesson? You didn't learn it with Lincoln.
Snake is always a snake.
Yes. You didn't learn it with Reagan when Reagan got betrayed by his California Democrat friends.
Yeah, and he was trying to stand up the Federal Reserve. I mean, he was looking for better money, and he survived his run-in. But I mean, JFK and RFK both, right? They were wanting to fight these same entities from their side, and they were both thanked in the same manner.
The Northern Democrats were up until I think the Illinois takeover in post-World War II. The Northern Democrats were against the Federal Reserve, but they were the minority within the party.
Yeah.
And still are.
Well, and then several of those have become libertarian on the left side.
Yeah. But
so,
still.
a pro-choice libertarian is right.
Yes, about right. Yeah.
And then some, yeah. But yeah, it's that's what I'm saying. That's why I keep calling it. This is why I think, okay, yeah, Gina's great. She got a settlement, but
it's
this
a secret
stuff,
settlement, which is
the
a poison
longer
pill.
It's not just Disney, right? It's
Yes.
a lot of Hollywood, a lot of stuff in the government, the stuff with Epstein, all of this stuff. The longer it festers and is not allowed to be seen the light of day, the more damage it will do. And then when it does collapse, people wonder what happened, right? Well, these betrayals and scandalous behaviors and I mean, it snowballs into really horrific things too, but just the theft of value that was allowed to happen for generations is enough to rot from the inside. And then when it's like that. It's like a tree that's actually dying on the inside, but there's still leaves and it still looks nice. And all of a sudden one day it blows over in a light breeze and you're like, what? And you find out half of it on the inside is hollow, right?
Are you familiar with multi-civilizational theory?
No.
That this is the sixth incarnation of civilization that started 15,600 years ago with the founding of Egypt.
Yeah, I've heard other theories that were, I don't know about 6, but definitely, there's a lot of people that think there's been something in the past that has gotten to some level and then collapsed.
Yes, because a lot of symbology is now matching up the things we know. And if you take Ragnarok as political as a map, right, that the tree of life is actually a family tree, right, of the so-called gods, right, who inbred, by the way, Thor married his sister, by the way. If you take it at that value, right, because there are writings that suggest that around 630, 640, when Vikinging was outlawed, was actually when the last god died, right? Now, the theory goes that the gods are actually remnants of previous civilizations. And that what happens is that they were elites in the previous civilization, and they hoarded so much wealth, so much power, so much influence, and so much medical technology that they were able to live extremely long lives, right?
Okay.
They were known, and by the way, this is where the legend of the elves comes from. They were known as the people, and they traveled around the world, and they were untouchable, okay? Could you imagine in a time of banditry where crime rates were probably so through the roof that your average civilian, basically, they walked around in mobs, you couldn't travel between towns, Look up how bad the medieval times were. Yet the Arven, or the people, were able to walk from Denmark to the halls of the German halls in the South Germany, where which is now Switzerland. I forget what it was called then. One of the cantons, and protest the bill about the separation of when Switzerland was trying to form and all that. One, how did they know? Right? how did they know from way up there? And where did they come from? Because they just suddenly walked out of the mist, right? There are mysteries on this planet that we do not understand or know. And basically, what a philosopher, and I sort of think it makes sense, said there was a previous civilization. They achieved a certain amount of technological advancement, and then they retreated underground and disappeared because they took everything, right? They took all the wealth. They took everything for themselves. They become so aristocratic elite. Serfs, not knowing any better, suddenly found themselves abandoned. They no longer had their knight protectors. They no longer had,
Yeah. Well, I know there's legends, there's even Native American legends of people living underground and they were giant.
Yeah.
10, 12 feet tall. Sometimes be taller. There's one that's supposed to be in the Grand Canyon somewhere where an Indian tribe
they actually
fought
found
them.
a town. They actually found a town in the Grand Canyon.
Right. And they caved it in and they burned them, right? They burned them alive inside. So yeah. And there's all kinds of this is I've heard this from a couple different sources, but I've never been able to fully confirm it. One of the reasons that, and this is kind of spoofed a little bit in the Princess Bride movies.
Yes.
One of the reasons why they would raise a hand in greeting was so that you could see that they had 5 fingers, because there's things that we attribute to the Mississippian culture and the mound builders and others that the Indian tribes themselves, when the white settlers came in, did not attribute to their ancestors. They said they did not build these things. And one of the legends that I've heard, hearsay more than anything, is that they had 6 fingers, and that was but did you get in the Hopewell culture? Okay, it's in Central Ohio. Okay,
yes.
What's crazy is I saw this connection.
Yes.
And I've never heard anyone else say. I had been watching Time Team, and they were looking at I think it was an Iron Age road or a Bronze Age road in England, and they were describing how it was constructed. Very different, it was almost like a sunken road, but they had things on the side, and they put all this stuff. And like 3 weeks later, I'm watching something about the Hopewell culture, and they're talking about these remnant. Granted, a lot of settlers destroyed untold, mounds, but they were talking about how some of these roads were built that are supposed to be older than some of the Hopewell stuff, and it's built nearly identical to these roads in England.
These mounds were the homes of the elves. Okay, the elves didn't live above ground. They had these mounds. There's over 110,000 of them documented.
Yeah,
and they cleared one in Ireland for these bloody to build a migrant hotel, and that absolutely infuriated the locals.
Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me that there's something there that we don't know.
There's something in our past. Now, when Cortez came to South America and he was greeted, and believe it or not, they were watching the ships come in. They could see them, from the cliffs. The ships were there for like 6 days before they came ashore or something. They could see each other. Boats came out. Now, when they came out, they were offering women, wine, everything, right? They were greeted. They were given water. They were given food. They didn't know. They actually thought, because they heard of what happened in the Pacific Islands where men were lured ashore to be eaten by cannibals. Okay? Right. But they knew Cortez's name. And when they greeted Cortez, they greeted straight to him. The chief walked straight up to Cortez, knew his name, knew where he was from, and was speaking Spanish. And said, "You've been here before. You may not remember this, but you came here 500 years ago."
That's pretty weird. I knew that they
and Cortez
they thought it was Quetzalcoatl coming back.
Yes, because he had the same webbed hands. He had the same features. He was wearing the same helmet. But he knew it wasn't Quetzalcoatl. He was called Cortez to his face. They knew his name. They knew
that part I hadn't heard.
They knew the name of their ships. Because the history books, when people started piecing this together, the history books suddenly decided, we're going to quickly redact all this stuff because people are asking questions. And I was in history class. I was kicked out of a university for asking a question in history class. How did they know his name? How did they speak Spanish if this was the first contact?
Well, then in that time frame, the Spanish would have been very different in the past.
Yeah.
So I hadn't heard that part.
Enough,
yeah, I know that there was
Spanish.
There was a settler on one of the settlements in the America in New England. I forget. It wasn't the first one. It was one of the Pilgrim settlements, but I don't think it was the one in Massachusetts. But there was an Indian that Native American that came into the settlement and spoke English.
Yeah, Jamestown. The Pilgrims were off the coast trying to decide where to settle, and a boat rows out, and in perfect English, he says, "Follow me."
Yeah. But I thought there was one
turns out
Salem.
Turns out he was Portuguese. This has been historically. He was actually in the records. He was Portuguese. He speaks English, Spanish, and the Portuguese dialects.
Right.
And he also spoke multiple Native Americans. But here's the thing: he was around Jamestown for 3 generations. Figure that one out.
Yeah. So anyway, you got any other topics, Seth, that we can talk into the ground?
I don't even know what you guys are talking about now.
Well, neither do we. But
I was starting to look in. I was looking for sound clips and stuff like that, and then once I started listening back in, I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, I did send a thing in the Facebook. I think it was Facebook chat. Remember that one guy that died at 33?
Yeah,
he'd been fighting cancer for 3 years. I think it's another jab victim.
Same with
the Hollywood. I think the Hollywood people that because we've had several die this past week. And I think people that they gave those shots to, they're starting to drop.
Now,
Brandon Blackstock, Kelly Clarkson's ex-husband.
Yeah,
he passed away.
But he had cancer. He had some kind of very rare and vicious cancer that just came out.
Same with Laurie.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Same with Laurie.
I don't know who that is.
Laurie Anderson?
Oh, Lonnie.
The actress died. She was Lonnie.
It's in not an R.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Lonnie Anderson is? Man. WKRP.
I mean, if I said, I don't know.
He was
blonde with big boobs.
He was probably playing PS. He was probably playing his little handheld.
Yeah, but she was in her 70s. She wasn't.
Yeah, but still, mystery cancer comes out of nowhere.
Yep.
Well, there's allegations that Logan Paul is going to be bankrupt. Now, in normal bankruptcies, right, when a company goes under, there's no personal liability, right? That's why they're called limited liability companies, right? But apparently, Logan Paul is going to be held liable for misleading over crypto investments and the Prime Energy and the contracts that he broke for Prime, right? It wasn't Prime that broke the contracts. He was the one who broke the contracts on Prime's behalf. So I'm not sure if it's PepsiCo or whoever, but a big company subsidiary is suing Logan Paul. And of course, if you're a subsidiary of a big company and the parent company is saying, we want our profit, they're going to pull out lawyers who have big, long names.
He's going to get anally probed with no lube is what's going to happen.
Probably.
Yeah, he'll find himself in a court. He'll find himself in a ancient court in New York with lots of men in wigs and dusty old law books nobody's looked at in centuries, and he's going to get whacked with them.
Yeah. Now he was the guy it wasn't Logan Paul the one that was going to box somebody or did box somebody or
that was Jake. Logan Paul's in WWE.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to trade his way out of a mess. He's using his WWE money to prop up his lifestyle, but he's gone broke. Okay, because he's got fighting off 3 lawsuits. He's got to pay his lawyers out of pocket, and he's extending his lawsuits, hoping that he could burn out CoffeeZilla and others in their CryptoZoo lawsuit, basically, outspend them. But you're not going to outspend Coca-Cola or PepsiCo.
Oh, so he was in movies too.
Allegedly.
None that I've seen. Baywatch, Airplane Mode.
Yeah.
Oh, and hey, it's confirmed that he's going to be fighting John Cena in WWE Clash in Paris 6 minutes ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just saw it come over across X.
Yeah, he apologized for backing out of a deal and said it was nothing personal. You know, it was probably true that he had to go to court and miss the phone call. So yeah, that's legit. I would. That's probably why WWE isn't firing him, because he probably was in court when the phone call came. You're not supposed to miss a call for a match, you know. Hey, you got a match on. You got 24 hours to get there, you know.
I don't know. I mean, since SummerSlam, John Cena lost the title, and apparently Cody Rhodes and John Cena are supposed to wrestle Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre tonight. I don't know. We haven't been watching wrestling at my house because my son keeps getting too violent and hitting everybody, so we stopped watching it. But I still watch like
cold water over that boy.
I know, dude, it's crazy.
You need a water pistol every time he acts out. Squirt,
yeah.
squirt.
Hey, cut that out. Stop it. Don't threaten me with a good time, because I'm gonna get one now. I'm gonna do it.
Cincinnati. New charges in Cincinnati after the release of the viral body cam. The body cam has been released and it went viral. The Cincinnati beatdown. New body cam footage has been released. More arrests to come, and people are saying that they've been undercharged. It wasn't a fair fight. It wasn't a fight. It was basically a lynching. They want them charged with lynching.
Who is this? What is this?
You know the fight in Cincinnati, which everybody's been denying happened?
Nope.
The beatdown of the jazz festival. You haven't seen
was Jeff talking about that the other night
white
on
people
WCBS?
Getting beaten. I don't know.
Yeah, but basically anybody basically a lot of people who's basically burnt toast have been out there saying that they were these black people were defending themselves. A white couple called them the N-word outside a jazz festival and started making monkey noises or something, a whole bunch of bullshit. Apparently the body cam has come out and same with the security camera. The couple was just standing there with their back to the crowd, and suddenly the crowd jumped on them. They're coming out. The crowd came out of the club. They were rowdy. They were screaming about black power or something, BLM, Black Lives Matter. They were screaming all the chants, and just went for them,
All right, I just Googled, or not Googled, I X searched Cincinnati fight.
Actually, at one point on X, they were claiming that it wasn't a riot. It was a small ruckus, that it was some sort of scuffle. People did phone it, and basically, this wasn't a scuffle. They had 6 black men kicking a white guy in the head, taking turns and using racial slurs. Traffic. This was in the middle of traffic, by the way, and cars were just going around them. Now, the victim came out and said there were no... The victim came out and said there was more than 6 people, They were holding her down. See, look, they're cheering it on. Yeah, there you go. That's more than 6 people right there.
But for what? Like, what happened?
It's because he was white.
Oh. So no real reason.
Yes. Supposedly, he was saying something beforehand. But yeah.
Somebody pointed to him and said, that's the guy who said the N-word, and bang, that blew up.
And the lady tried to step in and stop it. Right there, that's attempted murder right there. That's 20 years right there. Yeah. That guy in the red. That's 20 years with parole after 7. I don't know who he is, but that's what. But yeah, the police chief basically said. Yeah, police chief said we're not pressing charges.
Opponent.
DEI hire. This is why I'm glad I'm not in Cincinnati. And Ohio is a constitutional carry state. That's what gets me the most. Is that guy could have shot every single person hitting him legally.
But apparently he's
Russian.
Now the sixth suspect. Yeah. Video has emerged that the crowd were yelling racial slurs as they were beating him. That this initial release was edited. That this guy screaming. Yeah. They're using him screaming over the top to drown out all the other noise in the background. There's a lack of police presence.
They done beat that girl.
Yeah, she was trying to stop the fight. Yeah, and there's police around. They don't do anything.
There were 11 police within 1 block radius who did not respond to the brawl. Apparently, they're going to be stood down.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently a lot of people are going to lose their job.
In downtown anymore.
No. But the thing is, the National Police Union is saying the reason why they didn't respond is because an individual officer walking into a brawl, there ain't no protection. If he hits anybody or does anything, because the judges take note of what the crowd says instead of looking at the evidence. They say the crowd just puts up their hand and says, "We're defending ourselves. We didn't know he was a police officer, or he was abusive. Well, he was abusive. He was saving those crackers from justice." Apparently, BLM came out and tried to paint this as justice. That bunch of crackers were racial, said some racial slurs. But if you look at the video, there's just a man yelling all the time. Nobody knows who he is or whatever, but they've amplified the noise to basically drown out what was said in the background. Now, a new video has emerged from a police officer who did respond, and the crowd was, very racially motivated. Dozens, according to the report, standing around cheering and taking pictures.
I gotta let the old dog out.
Yeah.
People were lining up to do TikTok videos calling it justice, So they actually had one video, some white couple lynched, justice, and finally justice in America. Lynched, calling for more lynchings. This was racially motivated to the max. And then, of course, the police chief comes out and says, we don't know the motives. And everybody just said, wait a minute, who's this DEI hire?
Right? Dude, all this stuff, man, I searched Cincinnati, man. There's just so much stuff, dude.
Yeah. They're saying that I wouldn't say the jazz club was involved. Okay. I think that was what I'm saying is that the jazz club handed over the tapes and heard nothing since. When they heard the ruckus outside, they locked down, kicked everybody out. So that's where you get the crowd coming out from. They basically pouring into the street. But what are the employees going to do? This is the problem with the community, is that they know where you live. They have all the time in the world, and they have the NAACP, BLM, ACLU, the ADL, and basically, a whole bunch of parasite lawyers on the side of the mob. And you have judges who are on the side of the mob saying, well, if 50 people say you said the N-word, it's true. It's always this moron mentality that the majority is always right. Sorry, folks, you live in a republic. If 50 people say he said the N-word, you basically say to them, no, one person claimed it, the rest echoed it. The judges have no courage because, again, the Antifa and all these other groups, and this is what we're talking about before with the progressives, have been put in a position through our government to basically release information as they please without consequence.
Yeah. Man, I don't know, man. This stuff's crazy. There's so much stuff going on, man. And I'm just so glad. I'm so glad that, like, I don't live in a big city. The city I think is big that, like, I live in, like, man, it ain't nothing compared to some of these other places out here.
Same, you know, like I've seen some of the crowds in some of the cities, you know, like I could go to the center of my city on a weekend and there's hardly any crowds and hardly any people coming out. Yeah. And like, this is the center of my city, doesn't even look as crowded as, say, some of the towns in America. So I cannot compare how crowded it is.
Hey, listen, have you ever seen a movie called The Kingsman?
Yeah.
All right. So you remember in that first one when they had this radio frequency that made all them people go ballistic and start killing each other?
Yeah.
Like, how much of that, like, I'm starting to believe that that's a real thing.
Well, it's actually a sociological effect. It's believed that if you basically torment people enough and they're in a close enough space, basically they'll explode, you know, torment people enough. I forget the exact name of the theory, but I think it was Jung, and Jung was basing his observations on Berlin at the time. Basically, Berlin was, you know how they talk about Tokyo being overcrowded, you know, like, oh, there's 55 people per square mile, you know, like, you know, whatever it is per block, you know. Well, I forget how they read. Berlin was at an index of 136. Okay, Germany had more population in 1939 than they do today. Their population was twice the size then than it is today. So you think of a crowded American city. Could you imagine how, if you're saying the crowd index is 55, right? Imagine Berlin with 136, and you add to that a level of street violence that is already erupted. And you can actually understand maybe just a fraction of how cities should not become overcrowded. That mass migration is a huge problem. And it's caused by all your do-gooder lefties sending bags of wheat and flour to other countries and saying, oh, you've got a family of 6, we'll give you 6 bags of wheat or 6 bags of rice. So the average Indian family is going to have 6 kids because they know they can get 6 bags of rice.
Yeah.
These do-gooders for the last 50 years have been basically causing more problems than they solve. $3 trillion has been spent on Africa, 3.6 trillion, just by China. And look at the infrastructure there. Look at how how Africa's falling apart after 20 years of post-apartheid. Sociologists are right. All ideas are not equal. Okay, these do-gooders. Now, why is Cincinnati so bad? Because you have that do-gooder mentality where they don't want police to show up, where they want psychologists and social workers. But then they say the police have to protect the social worker. Well, you can't protect them if you can't pull out your gun and put the gun to somebody's head and say, stop or I'll shoot.
Yeah.
How is a man going to protect somebody if he's not allowed to put a rabid dog down?
I don't know, man. It's crazy. It really is. I mean, there's so much going on. Like, I just don't even want to be. I don't want to be in town. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to stay. You know, I just want to be at my house with my chickens and my dogs.
Movie, well, you know, what was it? You know, World War Z, the end of the movie where they got that big wall with the guns on the turrets.
Yeah.
Hey, look, there's a mob coming.
Yeah.
Miniguns go, brr.
Exactly. Oh, somebody's created the WNBA's green dildo account.
Yes. The
That's pretty funny.
WNBA's. Oh, this morning at the WNBA, it's been official, the fourth dildo, despite a ban on bags, pocket searches, somebody smuggled a dildo in. Jeez, I wonder how that happened, says one lady. What's the matter, WNBA? You're getting paid what you're worth, right? They're even throwing you tips. But that's the problem. When you have $10 tickets, this has been confirmed, by the way, Chicago only had $10 tickets. Man, even the NBA has $100 tickets at minimum, right? Do these people know what a profit is? Oh, New York. We'll switch topics we're going to. Remember New York mayor candidate Zimbabwe says they want government-run housing, government-run food stores.
I don't know. No.
You haven't heard about that? The communist who wants all the housing and to basically take over all the food shops and housing and not run them for a profit.
Hey, so I got on Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett's X account, and here's my comment.
Yeah. Selling chirp. Government-run grocery stores. America actually had government-run grocery stores. Look up Jamestown. Government-run grocery stores are not a new idea. And in fact, up until the 1930s, all Americans used to know about the tragedy of Jamestown and the tragedy of government-run stores and what happens when you don't run businesses for profit. America has a lot of experience with government-run stores, and would you like to know how each and every one of them ended? Bankrupt! Because eventually the thieves just come in and take from the government-run stores. When you run out of private businesses to loot and all the private businesses run down, no, what? People just come in and take what they need? And what happens? Well, they don't pay for it because they're not going to give up their drugs. They're not going to give up their life of crime. Liberals just cannot get it through their skull. Okay? The reason why we have so many good people today in the West is because the bad apples got weeded out throughout history, right? All the bad apples. We either sent them to prison or we executed them. Basically, we weeded out, whereas the rest of the world has never weeded out bad behavior.
Well, hey, man, I think I got to run because I got stuff to do tonight. I got to get set up for coffee and gaming tomorrow. And my wife's waiting on me to watch. We've been watching this TV show called Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's on Peacock. It's really funny. The last few episodes have been kind of woke. Like as the series has gone on, it's become less funny and more like jabs. And I'm like, I don't like that. So, but it's still funny. We're still giving it a shot. We're still watching it. So. I'm gonna see how it ends.
Simpsons, every long-running TV show in America right now, as soon as they get their huge payday, they go from being widely, you know what I mean, a wide appeal to a wide audience. To something
and then all of a sudden they gotta teach a lesson.
Yeah, they're gonna be socially aware and diverse and proactive on social issues. You know why we have social issues? Because we have people who think that they can talk the devil into being a good guy, okay?
Yeah. Hey, massive breaking news. It turns out President Trump was right. JP Morgan is now forecasting a Federal Reserve interest rate cut next month and then 4 more cuts by the end of the year. So,
like I said earlier, the problem with the Federal Reserve is they make the banks unprofitable, Then they force the banks to loan out lots of money, and then they jack up the interest rates to try and make all that back because you just cannot run a society on constantly increasing the prices. It doesn't work. And the Federal Reserve is a vestige tale of imperialism, okay, where you would fund, the growth of a industry or growth of a nation, whatever. But once you reach peak where there's no, it's called blue market, red market, you look it up. Once you reach a peak market, once the market goes from fresh to full, you have to shut down the reserve. It's no longer useful. It's no longer necessary. The Federal Treasury should be run by Congress and should merely be the collection point for the distribution of funds, okay? And the way society is now, you don't have a federal bank. You have one in every state because it makes no sense to ship all the money to the Federal Reserve and then sort through it for bad notes when you can do it much more efficiently in the local banks under guise of the Treasury, right? Treasury agents go out, sort your banks out, and just keep moving on. Every month they go to a different bank and sort it out. But no, your government isn't run efficiently because your government is run to employ people so that they will constantly vote for the party in power.
Yep. All right, guys. We're gonna get out of here. So we'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. for coffee and gaming. It'll be a good time. We're gonna play some more Gears of War 5. Check out David's book. He's got links and everything down below. You can check him out there. He just had a new book pop up for sale. Book number 4. All of that is found in the link down below in the description. Channel Dad does stuff, but I don't know if he's still doing stuff, but he makes videos too. Check out his channel. It's down there. Yeah. Everything's down in the links down below. So you guys have a great night. Take care, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Good day, sir.
Later, dudes.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Hell, I got to go.
Peace out.
Burn in hell, New World Order. Fuck you. Fuck you, New World Order. Fuck you, Bill Gates.
I love you.
You gotta do better than that.
I love you.